A very good evening to all our viewers from a small village near the line of control in the Kashmir Valley in the Uri sector. We've been here this week on the ground covering the aftermath of the Pahalgam Terror Attack from ground zero. And the reason the line of control is so important is that for the last few days, ever since India indicated that military options were on the table, and even before that, Pakistan has been resorting to unprovoked firing night after night. Basically, the villages, like the one I'm sitting in right now, at the line of control, have been coming under attack from the Pakistani side. And it's really hurting the civilians here. An elderly man, a sheep herder who I met, he said to me, कभी भी गोला पड़ सकता है हमारी तो हमें तो बहुत डर लग रहा है but he should not be scared because India's armed forces have been given operational freedom by the Prime Minister to choose a mode, target, and timing of their response. This on a day when the Indian Air Force has shown its might with dramatic landings on an expressway in Uttar Pradesh. And we'll get to all of that in just a moment. But it's very interesting to look back at how this all unfolded. Remember, the Prime Minister was in Saudi Arabia when he got news of the Pahalgam terror attack. And he cut short that visit to come to India. And somebody who was there at that moment, someone who has known the Prime Minister very well from his Gujarat years, educationist and philanthropist Zafar Sareshwala was there. And a moment from now, we'll be talking to him as we try and understand what was the Prime Minister's first reaction. How did he react when he first got the news? I'm Barkha Dutt, you're with the Mojo Story. Our ground reportage here across the Kashmir Valley continues, even as in Uttar Pradesh, the images you see on your screen show the Indian Air Force displaying mighty power and war readiness with Rafales, among other fighter jets, landing on the expressway, the Ganga Expressway, India's first day night landing strip. This is clearly an indication of war readiness, much like the images released by the Indian Navy. The Navy, if we can just go back to those images, the Navy has been, in fact, eye to eye with the Pakistan Navy in naval drills just off the coast of Gujarat. And they have been releasing these images to show their own combat readiness. Meanwhile, here on the ground, we've been talking to a host of people, including local heroes who risk their own lives to save the lives of tourists. There's also a massive manhunt on for those who conducted the terror operation in Pakistan. Two local terrorists have been identified, but also Hashim Musa, a Pakistani terrorist for whom there's a massive manhunt on. As I said, Modi has greenlit a military response, but of course, the mode, target, and timing has been left to the military. Joining me now is Zafar Sareshwala. Zafar Sareshwala was in Saudi Arabia, as was the Prime Minister, when the news of the Pahalgam terror attack came. The Prime Minister, of course, cut short his visit at the time. And Zafar Bhai, you were right there. Can you describe to us what were the circumstances in which all of you first got to know that this horrific act of terror had taken place?
For me, this visit of Prime Minister was very significant. I mean, it was his third visit, and I very vividly remember the first visit when he came in 2016. I was there in that visit also. After that, in 2019, and relationship has built up with Saudi Arabia. I mean, it's not that, of course, it is government after government they do, but Mr. Modi took it to the next level. And not only that, the Crown Prince also visited India. So relationship had built up to a level of strategic togetherness. And why this visit was very significant, Barkha, because Prime Minister, and I don't know much that any other head of state would have visited Jeddah. You know, Jeddah is very significant in the Islamic parlance. In the
Yeah.
Islamic parlance, we call it Hudud-e Haram, means it is part of Haram, that is part of Makkah. Haram means the Kaaba. Anybody who visits Saudi Arabia, when he lands in Jeddah, he has to wear ihram. That is, two white cloths. So it is very significant because Jeddah is the door or a gateway to Makkah and Medina. So in that context, Prime Minister Modi's visit was very significant because I don't remember any other head of state would have visited Jeddah. So this was the kind of importance which the Saudi government had accorded to Prime Minister Modi. So in that context, it was very significant. Also, yes, I think by the time Prime Minister arrived, in within short time, we started getting information about this Pahalgam thing, and atmosphere was very somber. But here, there were about a large number of high net worth individuals, from across Saudi Arabia, businessmen from the region who had arrived to meet the Prime Minister. But I've seen Mr. Modi in last 20 years in worse situation also, and that is the remarkable trait of a head of state. From his appearance, from his face or the face reading, you could not imagine what's going on. I mean, he was very important for him was to address for which he had come. So I think in that context, Mr. Modi did not give any idea what is happening, and that is the trait of Mr. Modi which I have seen in last 20 years. So, and then he was after that he met the people there. About there were about 200 odd high net worth individuals who had gathered from all over Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
Very warm welcome. But I think I got the feeling that Mr. Modi will cut short his visit and he will, I think, go back. And I think after he was in the palace in the evening, the high powered delegation went there. They got a very warm welcome from Crown Prince. And of course, we all know now that the Crown Prince and the people there in Saudi Arabia, they had, objected to what had happened in Pahalgam. Now, I want to
Correct.
make two things prior to, because I went there a day before. And the horrific speech of the Pakistan air chief, the army chief was
Army
there
chief.
already. Yeah, army chief. I, as a Muslim, was horrified. I mean, that 5 minutes or 6 minutes, I couldn't imagine that an army chief of an Islamic republic can talk such un-Islamic things. I mean, I was horrified. And when he said two nation, and when he said that Hindus and the Muslims are different, I was wondering that this man, in his own country, there are Hindus. I mean, can a chief of army of a country cannot even bother about the minority of his own country? Incidentally,
Zafar
I met
Bhai,
two very,
Zafar Bhai, not only does he not bother about the minorities of his own country, he doesn't bother about all the Muslims of his own country. Look at how the Shias and the Ahmadis are treated in Pakistan.
yeah, yeah. So I met two very prominent Islamic scholars of Pakistan, and one of that is most prominent across the world, and they are very known in the Urdu world, across the world. I mean, even in India, people listen to them. And I put that Maulana, this is the speech of your army chief, and he's talking in front of an audience. My problem is that okay, he's a foolish character, but people listening to him, and not a word of dissent from the Islamic
Yeah.
scholars of Pakistan, not a word of dissent from the people sitting there. I, as a Muslim, forget about Indian or anybody else. As a Muslim, I feel this was most un-Islamic speech given by him. And this two nation theory was rejected by Islamic scholars of India. And the most prominent among them is Maulana Hussain Ahmad Madni, the grandfather of Maulana Mahmud Madni.
Mhm.
Barkha, lot of people are talking about two nation theory idea given by Allama Iqbal. That is there in public domain. But people don't know that Allama Iqbal was given, three letters were written by Maulana Hussain Ahmad Madni, and he had rejected this two nation theory in the light of Islam, in the light of Quran and the life of Prophet. There was one letter written in 1936, one in 37, and the last letter, which was absolutely people should read, in 1938. And before that letter reached Allama Iqbal, he had passed away. And I remember talking to one of the Islamic scholars. He said, had Allama Iqbal read that letter, he would have also rejected this two nation theory idea. Now, this man, he can be so illiterate because the Islamic scholars had rejected it. So, and after that, this happened. So, again,
Yeah.
I was there. When this Pahalgam thing happened, again, I was in Saudi Arabia because I was there for another 3-4 days. I met a lot of Pakistani, top people because my job is in the financial service sector. I met a CEO of one very large international financial services company who happened to be a Pakistani. Then I met one, healthcare company. Again, that CEO was a Pakistani. I only put this question: I that whatever has happened in Pahalgam, can Islam in a remote way, can Islamic ethos and the life of Prophet and what is there in Quran, can that be accepted? I mean, you ask people's religion, you remove their pants and you see whether he's a Hindu and a Muslim. Can remotely Islam allow? And you won't believe, Barkha, neither those two Islamic scholars nor the high net worth and the very top position Pakistanis whom I met, nobody had any answer to that.
Yeah. And as you said, that Islam can remotely not allow what took place in Pahalgam. So it is actually abhorrent that Asim Munir should consider that he can preach on the so-called superiority in ideology and culture of the Muslims of Pakistan to the Hindus of India, forgetting that there are so many millions of proud Indian Muslims, of which you are one. Zafar bhai, let me ask you this: the Indian Muslim community has really, the Indians, why Indian Muslim community have really, really stood as one. But within that, the Muslim community has spoken as one as well. You and Asaduddin Owaisi may disagree on many things, but at the moment, what we have really seen is a kind of exemplar of unity. That if you're going to lecture us that this is not our that we should identify as Pakistan, please कहीं और जाके बताना. So how do you see the significance of the kind of unity that we are seeing in the country today?
No, absolutely. There is unity in that beyond doubt. I mean, and you are in Kashmir. You are where you are sitting. I had been there, and I've met people. I was in the LOC Poonch segment. I went
Yeah.
almost near the border, and I've traveled very extensively in Kashmir. Doing my Talim Tarbiyat program,
Yes.
I've done in Srinagar, I've done in Shopian, I've done in Pulwama, I have done in Kargil, I've done in Ladakh also. And the
Yes.
kind of bonhomie and the awareness and the thirst which the Kashmiri youth have towards joining the mainstream of India, towards education, financial services, is unbelievable. I mean, I couldn't imagine when I went first time after so many years in 2021, and after that I've been going. I could not imagine the thirst which the Kashmiris have. So, what I said to the Islamic scholars, I said, okay, when Pakistan was made, we said, okay, खुदा हाफिज, अल्लाह आपको,
Mm.
ठीक है, आपका मुल्क है, फबेहा,
Gee.
लेकिन
Mm.
यार आप हमको 25 करोड़ को तो जिंदा रहने दो, हमें तो जीने दो.
Mm.
And exactly I said this what Maulana Hussain Ahmad Madni had written to Allama Iqbal. He said, and that was the idea of composite nationalism. And Maulana Hussain Ahmad Madni had said this. I'm quoting that हम अलग कौम हो सकते, हम एक कौम है, मजहब अलग हो सकते हैं. मैं हिंदुस्तानी हूं, मैं कहीं भी दुनिया में जाऊंगा तो मेरी शनाख्त हुई एक हिंदुस्तानी की. एंड टुडे आल्सो व्हेन आई वेंट टू सऊदी अरेबिया, they put you in one line. they put you as Indians. तो मैंने कहा कि ये भी हमें हिंदुस्तानी देख के बोलते हैं. मेरे साथ हिंदू भी थे जब मैं खड़ा था लाइन में इमिग्रेशन की, तो तब ये नहीं
जी
कहा कि एक मुसलमान अलग हो जाओ. ये अरब मुल्क भी हमें हिंदुस्तानी देखता है. हाँ, हम हिंदुस्तानी हैं, सिर्फ मजहब हमारा अलग हो सकता है. बट आई वांट टू मेक वन मोर थिंग, एंड दिस केम अप देयर. There are a lot of people in this country, but they are very minority, who every morning they get up and through their social media they abuse Islam, they abuse Prophet, they abuse Quran, and they abuse Muslims. Now this is now seen very widely even in the Arab world. I received lot of these people's Twitter with Arabic subtitles, and Barkha, I had no answer to that, because what I am saying
yeah
and what is being,
yeah
I said to them, yes, ऐसे लोग हर कौम में होते हैं, माइनॉरिटी होती है, लेकिन लार्जर पिक्चर देखिए आप. And I used to say that larger picture is that if what you are showing me, a very, very high profile Saudi businessman showed me, I said, yes, these are such people are there, and they are in our community also. And I said, what happened in Pahalgam? Also, they were Muslim. I mean, I
yeah
have no bones. I'm saying,
yeah
yes, they were Muslim, but they were making long projection of Islam, but they were Muslim. So within us also there are such people. But you see the larger picture. Had this been a norm, what you are showing me, then we 25 crore Muslims would not have lived in India. And I said, I'm the only one of the very few Muslims in this whole, in the Ritz-Carlton Hotel, where the
yeah
Prime Minister was there. I said, look, these people are giving me same accord which they would have given anybody. So I said, yes, such things are happening, but this is not the norm. There is a large section of Hindus
Uh,
in the country who
and
exactly,
yeah, no,
who,
I'm agreeing with you. And we had a statement yesterday from the wife of Vinay Narwal, the naval officer who was killed by terrorists in Pahalgam. And that iconic image that we've all seen, if we can bring it up, you see her, she's sitting with her, there it is, with her husband's body. And you can see her red bangles, which is the sign of being recently married. She was widowed just a few days after she was married. But Zafar Bhai, the statement she gave was, we don't want anyone to go after Muslims, we don't want anyone to go after Kashmiris. So I want to
exactly,
end by asking you, Pakistan did this partly, this religious targeting of hapless victims in Pahalgam to try and divide Indians. They wanted to divide Hindus and Muslims. What is your message to both India and Pakistan today?
yeah. See, I told this to those two Islamic scholars and the Pakistanis whom I met. I said the behavior of the Kashmiris, the togetherness, the brotherhood they showed to the victims has punctured your army chief's desires. They have punctured.
That's right.
And
That's,
you have not seen a single, there may be some skirmishes in
yeah,
India, some places, yes, where they targeted Muslims. But overall, we have not seen this in the country. And
that's right.
actually, this is what they wanted. This is what the Pakistan administration wants, that the Kashmiris get alienated from India, the Muslims get alienated from Hindus, and the Muslims start talking their language. But nothing of that sort has happened, and that has punctured their whole idea for which they had done this.
Yeah, absolutely. And what would be your message to Pakistan right now, that whatever you tried has failed?
My message was that आपको जिहाद करने का इतना शौक है ना, आप ये जिहाद नहीं है. आई सेड दिस इज फसाद, फसाद फिल अर्द. आप जिहाद नहीं कर रहे, जिहाद तो, और मैंने कहा कि मैं नहीं बोल रहा, आपके पाकिस्तान के एक बहुत प्रोमिनेंट इस्लामिक स्कॉलर थे मौलाना मौदूदी, उन्होंने
जी
पूरा एसओपी बताया जिहाद का, स्टैंडर्ड ऑपरेटिंग प्रोसीजर. एक
mm,
अमीर हो और ऐलान जंग करो. मैंने कहा ये आप क्या कर रहे हो? आप पाकिस्तान में अपनी एम्बेसी भी है, आप आपके लोगों को यहां बिठाते भी हो, आपके लोग आना जाना भी करते हो, और ये हरकत करते हो. अगर आपको इतना ही शौक है ना, इतना ही शौक, तो एक काम करो, आप ऐलान जंग करो, यू डिक्लेयर वॉर, then we'll show
mm,
you what it is. You can't have both. So my
Absolutely.
idea was that you are destroying your own country. See, India is a large economy. आपका जितना बजट है ना, हिंदुस्तान का जितना डिफेंस का बजट है ना, इतना तो आपका पूरा बजट है. हमारे यहाँ की एक कंपनी का जो मार्केट कैपिटलाइजेशन है ना, वो आपके पूरे कराची स्टॉक एक्सचेंज का है. तो भाई अब बन जाओ. और आपने देखिए तालिबान जिसको लेके चलते थे, आपने उनसे भी दुश्मनी ले ली है. आप कश्मीर जो आपको मिला उसको नहीं संभाल सकते, बलूचिस्तान जो है उसको नहीं संभाल सकते. यार अपने मुल्क को संभालो पहले, हिंदुस्तान की बाद में फिक्र करना, और हमारी फिक्र बिल्कुल मत करना. हम 25-30 करोड़ मुसलमानों की बिल्कुल फिक्र मत करना. हम बहुत सही जगह पर हैं, और मैं फख्र करता हूं कि मैं एक हिंदुस्तानी हूं. और मैं इसलिए कहा कि मैं उस फैमिली से हूं कि जो गए थे वहां पर, मेरे ग्रैंडफादर और उनके ब्रदर कराची गए थे जिना साहब के कहने पर, और क्लिफ्टन में जगह देख भी ली थी, फैक्ट्री भी देख ली थी. वहां 15 दिन घूमने के बाद मेरे ग्रैंडफादर ने तय किया कि बेटा हमारा मुल्क हिंदुस्तान है और हम यहीं रहेंगे, ये मुल्क हमारा नहीं है.
वेल सेड जफर सरेशवाला, वेरी वेरी मूविंग. हम हिंदुस्तानी है, हमें फख्र है कि हम यहाँ के सिटीजन हैं. पहले अपना मुल्क संभाल लो, जहाद नहीं फसाद. बहुत चीजें आपने बोली, एंड रियली आई थिंक it is very inspiring to hear these words. And so many Indians have stood as one. The whole country has stood as one. यहाँ पे कश्मीर में local stories of heroism in the Muslim community, your words, the words of so many others. I want to thank you for these words and for a very interesting conversation. And we'll have you again very soon as we look at how this situation develops. Zafar Sareshwala, thank you so much, sir.
My pleasure, always to be with you.
Thank you, sir. Take care. Take care, sir.
Okay, bye.
It's great to see you here. Thank you for watching our work. If you haven't subscribed yet, don't forget to click the bell icon and subscribe to Mojo Story and support independent, robust journalism.